Picture this, you're a homeowner and you want to know how much your home is worth. So you go to a website like Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com or Homes.com or a million other websites, and it asks you to type in your address and click the button, and the computer thinks, and it comes up with one of three things. It comes up with a specific value for your home. It comes up with a range of values, or it says that it can't determine what the price of your home is and that you need to speak to somebody more specifically. So this is called an AVM, an automated valuation model. So is this the right answer? Usually not. So let's take a couple minutes and dive into how to get the right answer for how much your home is worth. Hi, my name is Mark Karten with Karten Real Estate Services in Queens, New York. And as I just said, this automated valuation model is good for an ish. It's not something that you should feel with any confidence that your home's value is. Now, Queens specifically, if you've got a condo or a co-op, it might be a little bit closer in value than a single 2, 3, 4 family home, maybe. Okay, again, you need to speak to somebody real, a licensed real estate agent, broker, who is going to do what's called a CMA. So a CMA is a comparative market analysis. And what they're going to do is they're going to take the specific details of your home, which is known as the subject property, and they're going to compare it to recently sold homes in your neighborhood. Sounds familiar, like the AVM, except it's going to be very detailed, okay? Because public records only give you so much information, and they're very basic details that's known to the public. The inside of your house is not known, what upgrades you've made, what the condition of your home is, especially if you have a semi-attached or an attached home, right? 2, 3, 4 family home is going to be vastly different than a condo or a co-op, which is really the only difference in a condo or a co-op is the size, right? The floor plan, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, and what floor you're on and the view. So before we ever get into condition and what beautiful things you've done inside your home. So this really is going to go now more to homes than condos and co-ops, but it all applies. Now, the bottom reason for why we need to do a CMA is because ultimately, if you do decide to sell, we have to be prepared for a buyer who's getting a mortgage. And a buyer who is getting a mortgage is going to need an appraisal from the bank. Now, that appraisal is what gives the bank the confidence to issue a mortgage commitment letter so that they can close, all right, and that you can get your money. So that's the whole reason for all of this, bottom line. But in between then, it's going to market. And we want to go to market with confidence that the price is correct, that you're going to attract the most amount of potential buyers so that you can get multiple offers, which raise the final sales price of your home. That's still within appraised values. Hopefully, it could be a little higher. The market's still going up as we come into spring 2022, but it's based on data. It's based on facts. All right. Selling your home is a very emotional process. And so there's a lot of emotion into all the things that we've put into our home and we've experienced. And we know how many tens of thousands of dollars we paid for the granite and the pool and the deck and all those things that are important, but they only translate into so much value. So let's take a couple of minutes and let me just explain what a CMA does. So again, your home is the subject property. We're going to compare. So we want a minimum of sold properties, not your neighbor's house that just went on the market. It doesn't matter what they priced it at. It doesn't reflect your value. It reflects what they are for competition, which is going to be helpful when we list your home to sell. But it doesn't have any bearing on the value of your home until their home closes, till it's sold, right? Then it becomes a comp. So we're looking at general information like lot size, the square footage of your lot, the square footage of your home, how many stories it is, the age, how many bedrooms and bathrooms, all of these things. Is it in a residential area versus residential turning into commercial? Is it what's called a unicorn, the only home of its kind? So there are no like comps. So that makes it a little bit harder. So is there a basement? How many garages are there? All of these things factor into the value of your home. So I'm not going to get into the details of the CMA beyond that, but just suffice it to say, there's a lot of things that are variables. Now, when it comes to square footage, both for lot size and for the interior square footage of your home, the most that an appraiser will go is usually 20%. They're going to want to look for 10%. So within your same neighborhood, within homes that have sold within the last 30, 60, 90 days. They might go out a little bit further in time if they have to, but they'd rather not. The bank wants the confidence of apples to apples, like to like homes, all right? When you're talking about, again, especially in Queens, multifamily homes, 2, 3, 4 family homes, now in an appraisal, it gets really detailed because these are residential income producing properties. And so that is a part of the calculation as well. So if you have a 2-family home and it's all filled by family members, in other words, you're not collecting rent from anybody, then that's different than a 2-family home that's totally rented out and that is collecting rent. So again, these are different models, and you're also going to limit your pool if it's totally rented out, because if somebody's looking for their own personal residence, then that's not an option, right? If there's tenants in there who are not leaving. So again, these are the details as to what we're looking for and to why that automated valuation model, the Zillows and the Redfins and the Realtor.com is not the answer. So what this all translates to is that an agent or a broker will want to have a conversation with you at the very minimum on the phone to ask you a bunch of details, and especially what the condition is of your home, what your improvements are, renovations, repairs, things that are deferred maintenance. Did you replace the roof recently, the hot water heater, the boiler furnace? All of those things. Are there issues that we have to contend with? But this all gives us a better idea. But again, speaking to an agent or broker over the phone is not going to give you a firm number. They need to see the home in person. So my best analogy is that if you had a piece of jewelry, so I could tell you ish what it's worth, but until I see it in person and look at it through a jeweler's loop, if it's a diamond, then I need to see the imperfections. And that's going to give me a much better idea of what the value is, okay? So that is overall how we're going to get to the number and what stock you should put into these numbers that come up on your screen that are really not based in reality, okay? When an agent comes into a potential seller's home, there's usually different concerns that I'll go over now. So one is that the AVM says, the Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com says my home is worth more. So the agent's going to show you, well, I don't know what they used, but here's the reality, because this is going to be updated. And in Queens, we're going to use the MLS. We're going to use public records, which is ACRIS. We're going to use StreetEasy because some homes don't go on the MLS and they only go through StreetEasy because some agencies don't use the MLS. So it's a bunch of different data sets that we use to get the most complete information. Then the agent's going to show you the pictures and the condition of the homes that we're comparing to. And then we're going to, remember, you're the subject property. We're going to see if the homes are superior to yours, inferior to yours, or if they're equal to yours. And that will also weigh on the value of your home. So once we're on the same page, we're looking at the same data. Now we determine how to price the home. So there's a bunch of different ways that homeowners want to approach this. So one is that they're talking to multiple agents, and let's just say that I say your home is worth $1 million, okay? That we should list the home at $1 million. And you say, another agent said it's worth $1,250,000. Why can't we list it for $1,250,000? We can, but the goal is to get in and out of the market as soon as possible. So there's very limited inventory. Buyers are very savvy. They have access to the same information that you do. They know the neighborhoods. They're seeing what's comparable. And if you list a home that's $1 million, the value of it as it should be, for 1.250, they're not even going to bother to see your home. So you've lost them potentially, because they're saying these people are not realistic. Okay, so that's the last thing that we want. Better to have everybody come to see your home at $1 million and then to have competition and drive the price up. Second of all, you only have, like I said, a limited window, because within the first 30 days, you're going to see by the amount of traffic, by the amount of offers that you receive, whether your number is realistic. And after that 30 days, your chances of selling without a price reduction is low. And as soon as you make a price reduction, it's waving that white flag and you say, I surrender, I don't know what I want, okay? And the price is going to come down, or you're going to be steadfast and say, I know my house is worth this and it's not going to sell. So some agents may say they'll list it higher because they know you're going to have to lower the price. So in the business that's called buying a listing, you don't want to have your listing bought. Okay, so go by the facts. Always ask any agent you're talking to, show me the facts of what have sold and what you would show an appraiser if they price my home lower. Okay, it's simple. Just do that across the board. Your upgrades. So if you did all these wonderful things to your home, the mindset should be, I did those things for myself. Now we're talking about carpet and hardwood floors and paint and granite, all those things you did for yourself. You shouldn't be doing that to raise the value of your home because it doesn't translate. Why? Because every buyer has a different personal preference. So when you bought the home, you probably changed the carpet to hardwood floor, or you just changed the carpet to a different color. Their personal taste was different. You took down the wallpaper. You replaced the Formica countertop with granite. So all of those things, right down to the appliances, everything you did for yourself. So it's not going to translate into, I put in $100,000, I want $100,000 back. Usually not going to happen. I say this with an asterisk, and in general, let me see your house, and then we'll talk about the specifics. Okay. My neighbor's home sold for more. So we'll look into that. We'll take a look at, again, does your neighbor's home fall within those parameters? So it's age, condition. You're a single family home, they're a two family home. They're not the same thing. So it's not apples to apples, it's apples to watermelon. They're both fruit. They're right on the stand right next to one another, but they're not apples to apples. Okay, so we have to look at things without emotion and just from a data set, unfortunately. And then finally, what some people want to do is test the market. And if anything, this market does not need testing. The market is crazy. So we want to price the home at fair market value and get it out to everyone. So this is for another video, but if a home sells so easily, what do you need a real estate agent for? You could sell it yourself, or for sale by owner. Save the commission, right? I can do it myself. Nobody knows the home better than I do. So I'll just do what real estate agents do. I can do the same thing. And you can, and a lot of people do that. But the point is, you still want to price it right, because the buyer pool knows exactly what pricing should be, and they're not going to overpay for a home. Nobody's going to overpay for a home. So that's the big takeaway. It's price your home correctly, use market data, compare apples to apples, and enlist a professional, whether you ultimately choose to go with them, but enlist them to get their impressions of what the data set is for your home today, okay? And that's going to change in 30, 60, 90 days, all right? So if you're not going to list for a while, you're going to want this all done again. So to see where the market's gone and maybe your home's increased in value since then. So this is a lot of information. Thanks for hanging in there. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer them. Best of luck with the sale of your home.